Let's now talk about the two mechanical mates, cam and slot. And I'll start with cam. So we have this mechanism here, and in this mechanism we have the cam here and then this follower. Now as this cam rotates right about this shaft, this follower should move right along its surface. So that's the kind of motion which we want. And to replicate this, we'll use the cam mate. So I'll go to this mate option, and here I'll go to this mechanical tab. Now this is where we have this cam mate. Select cam, and we need to select two options. We need to select cam path and the follower. Now just select any surface from this and it will automatically select the entire path as they are completely tangential. And then you just need to select the cam follower. Now the follower in this case is this roller right here, the red one. So just select the surface and done. Now it will stick to it right here and it is tangent on the surface. But if you just exit out of this and move the cam, the follower will of course follow this cam as well. So that's the cam and follower motion. All right, now let's see the slot mechanism. For that, I'll open simple assembly. And here we have it. Now in this case, we have this kind of pendulum thing, and then we have this disc which just rotates about this shaft. Now we want this shaft to move just inside this slot, and this will move when this disc rotates. So that's the kind of motion which we want. So for that, I'll go to mate option, and here again mechanical, and select slot. That's the second one. Now in slot we have several options. We have free, center in slot, distance along slot, or percentage. I'll start with free. And now just select the slot. In this case, this is the slot. So select any surface inside this slot and it will automatically select the slot completely, and also the pin. And we are done. Now this will freely move inside this slot. That's because we have selected free. But if you want to restrict it, for example, if you want to just move it exactly at the center of this slot, just move it like this. Now it will automatically move to the center and it will become rigid. Now SolidWorks won't let this thing move anywhere. You can also select a distance. For example, select distance along slot, and just to specify a distance from this point, as you can see the arrow is pointing here. So if you type, let's say 20, and tab key, well, that's just going to have a distance of 20. But in this case, because of the diameter of this disc, there is no valid solution. So you need to add a distance that is maybe 80, something larger. And now we have a valid solution. So this distance from this point to this right here is 80 unit, and that's the distance. Now also you can use a percentage value instead of distance. Now this will make more sense when you don't know the exact dimension. For example, in this case, I was a bit confused about the actual dimension. So now in this case, I can directly use the percentage value. So now the percentage distance from this center to this center is 66.66. You can add an exact value like 75%. So now the distance from this center to this center is 75% of this entire slot length. So in this way, you can specify these values, but at the end of the day, you'll end up with just a rigid assembly and nothing will move here. So if you want it to move freely, then just go to constraint and select free. And now this pin will move freely inside this slot. So if I click OK, well, we now have this kind of assembly where the motion is, well, somewhat like this. So with this rotatory motion, this pendulum will swing right inside this slot. Now let's see another example of slot, and for that I'll now go to this arc assembly. Now inside this we have, well, this slot, that's an arc, and then we have this slot right here, which is, well, not a rectangle or arc either. And in this case we want these two arms to move inside this arc slot as well as inside this kind of slot. Now in SolidWorks, the slot mate will work only when you have created the slot using slot feature of Sketcher. So here in the sketch, we have options for creating slot, and we can only create a straight slot or arc type slot. And there is no option of creating a slot that looks like this. So slot feature will not directly work for this kind of slot or any other kind of slot where you have just straight endpoints. Here we have the circular endpoint. So if you have made it using slot feature, well, definitely that's going to work. But in this case, as you know, we have not made it using slot feature because there is no option like that. So we just ended up making this slot using parallel lines and then circles. Now for this you need to use a different method for creating the slot kind of motion. So we'll see how it works. But let's first start with this arc slot, which is directly made with this center point arc slot option. So in this case, the slot mate will work. So I'll go to assembly and mate. Now, once again, I'll go to mechanical and I'll select slot. Again, I'll use free option here, and then let's just select this shaft, and this should go right inside this slot. So there we are. So we've added the first one. Just click OK. Now, if you try adding it for this one, for this slot, it's not going to work, but let's try it. So I'll go to slot and then I'll select this shaft, and then I'm going to click right inside this, and look at this, SolidWorks won't select it. So in this case, we can use cam mate, which we just now saw earlier. So I'll go to cam mate, and now for the cam path, well, let's just delete this and select this one. Now this can be a cam path, and the follower is going to be this one. So let's just select this as the follower. There you are. Now using this cam motion, we can replicate the slot kind of movement here. So with that, let's just click OK and OK again to exit out of this. And now these two are going to remain inside the slot. And if you move it, well, you'll find this kind of motion. So it is working now properly. So in this way, you can create slot mate for slots that are created with slot feature of a Sketcher. And if the slot is created without using the slot feature of a Sketch, then you can use other workarounds like cam to just create the slot and pin kind of motion.